So today is fuel sender day. I've done all the checks with regards to the fuel gauge. I'll just quickly show you. So fuel gauge is basically showing full all the time. There's my new LED lights that I've put in recently on the dash. So I know that it's not completely full, and I know that by doing the tests on the back of this gauge that it's pointing towards the sender. I even went to the extent of disconnecting underneath, I don't know if you can see, disconnecting underneath the wire and then putting it back together just to make sure that it was definitely not a break in that wire. I suspect because I've been driving it around that the wires come loose or the earths come off the sender unit, or the sender unit's just packed up because it's very old. Knowing from the previous owner that it was never messed with, I'm going to attempt to do a fix on this. So I've just been having a quick look online to see where the actual hole needs to be for this. I've got a round hole, a metal hole cutter, and I'm going to attempt to sort this. Now I'm going here from the middle rib here all the way down, and I'm going to pop through. Everyone's, well, a few people, not everyone, but a few people have said it should be 800, but I just looked at a video and someone said it's about 4 inches across from 800. So I'm gonna go middle of the road there. I'm gonna go about 870 or 888 about here. So I'm going to pause this video now, because all I'm going to do is pop a little hole in just to see if I'm above it. If not, I can move it over a little bit. So the video will pause, and next bit will be coming through, rather than edit this on YouTube editor or whatever it is. So yeah, I'll be back soon. So then, I don't know what happened there, but the video didn't work properly. So I picked these up from the tool station. This is a bimetal hole saw, hole cutter rather. It's quite big when you look at the size of my hand. So that's the hole that's going to be, and it's going to be, I'm going to try and go as close to the edge as possible, but not too far. So I need to make sure that the arbor is there, and it's not going to go over the back of that, which is good. So I just push that back a bit there. I'm going to push this arbor in. Fortunately, I have this insulation that will make a mark here, so if I do a little turn on that, that should give me marking. There we go, great. So just going to pop a hole in this now and see where we're at with the sender. So the hole cutting didn't quite go to plan. I was well on my way, and then the drill dropped out of the arbor, which held that in, because I didn't check to make sure it was screwed in. But even so, I got another drill piece, turned it the other way round, and then locked it in place, and then started again, and then that one snapped and it's gone down. So I've got two down the back of the fuel tank that so if I hear a rattling, I know what that is. It might be quite annoying, but next time the engine's out, I'll probably tend to that. I should have really gone bang on with that rib, but everyone was saying it's about 4 inches over, but not on mine. On my 72 crossover, it's basically there. There should be enough room to get it out. If not, you know, I can just along the back end of there cut that back. So I had to resort to basically cutting it out with cutting it out. It's actually a little bit neater, because when I get my new bit of flooring, I'll put it along here, and I'll probably just fold into this rib here, or even to this one I can do, rivet it in, and job done. But I'm going to get that out this afternoon and sort that. The wires are actually on, which is a good thing. So hopefully I'll have a fix a bit later. I've just realised I probably haven't got a gasket for that, so it's not going anywhere anyway. So clean all this up and then get onto it. But Fortunately, I have a pair of tin snips because I have them in my daily job. So I had a pair of snips, so snipped it straight down either side of the rib. Yeah, well, there you go. So anyone that's got a 72 crossover, I'll give you the dimensions. Let's just have a quick look. I don't know if I can set that up there, if it can be seen. Let me see. Where's that now? Okay, so coming across from the edge, I'd say the centre is 800, and then coming back from the back of there, it's probably 2.5, 3 inches maybe. Sorry to go from old school to new school, but yeah, I'd leave a couple of inches from the edge to be able to get that out. But that I'm hoping I've got a bit of wiggle room with that and get that out, but I don't really want it to be wiggling when it goes back in. So there you go. So from that end over there, yeah, 800, yeah, 810 thereabouts. Old school 32 inches, and then a couple of inches up will get you about dead centre, I think. Let me just check that from the inside. So the bird's eye will be from the edge a couple of inches, and right from the edge of the van, 35 inches, fraction under 35 inches would get you in, get you out. 30, 34, 35, 34 and a half, 35. I hope you can see all that, people. So next step, clean all this up and get this out, and then inspect, correct and reinstall. Yeah, well, there you go. So managed to get into the tank. It was quite awkward to get out. There's plenty of fuel in the tank, which I knew anyway, because I'd done 60 miles off a full tank. So I took the actual gauge out, and as you can see, the wire that connects through goes down around the bottom and then connects back up to that piece of weld is no longer in place. So I'm hoping that this wire can be resoldered back on. I might do a fix anyway on all the earth that I've seen online, and I got a feeling now that I'm gonna have to cut this back a little more to get it in, because these wires are so fragile. This wire's so fragile, I don't really want them to snap, because once it's done, and we should be good for another 50 years, all being well. So yeah, that's the update. So I'm going to be doing the fix on this, but that'll be done inside and get it all sorted. It looks like it was on the 5th month 72 by the looks of that. I'm guessing that's what the 572 is. I'll have a look at the information later on. Yeah, there we go. So it's out. That's the issue, is that has snapped somehow. I don't think it's snapped when I've took it out, because it just wasn't working. I tried taking the wire off and on before I took it out, so, and the earth was on there tight and everything was good. So not really sure, but I'm guessing that is the fault. Can't be nothing else, I don't think. So happy days, and then I'll be able to get the meter on it and test it before I put it back in, which will be good. Sorted. What's your space? So today is the day that I have to try and fish the tube out of this hole. The fuel sender is in there. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let's get some light on the situation in a second. But it's basically get that fist out of there somehow. It's going to be a tall order because how you move it, so when you move it, because it's in water, it has its own way of moving. And I can see the ribs from the top of how the actual tank is going, so I'm hoping that's replicated underneath. I don't have another tank to have a look at, so but there she is. She's in there. Just going to get some light on the situation and have a look. So back at it, having a look down here. I can kind of see, if we get the light on here, you can kind of see there is the end of it. Now, because I don't have another sender to look at, I don't know whether or not it's at the bottom or the top. This is really important because ultimately I have to try and get it out with a whole bit first, because I need to slide something inside in order to move it. So I'm guessing that is the bottom. Looking at that, you just sort of see there is like a crimped bit on the end of it. So I'm just going to put a bit of wire down to see if I can hook it. If not, I'm going to have to try and hook it from the other end. But it's got to come out of this hole, which is pretty much the size of it. So I mean the size of it as in diameter. So it's a tall order, but it will be out today, that's for sure. Let's have a quick go. This is pretty tricky. Sorry you can't see it, but it's a bit like hook a duck. Right, it's moved. This isn't good. Got a feeling this is going to be a long day. It's just tricky. I'm going to leave it there because I might have to turn this around somehow. Okay. So I did manage to spin it round, and at the other end I managed to hook it straight into the little hole that was in there. It's really tricky to see what it's like, but this here, I've just managed to turn it around. So this here now is the bottom, so I'm going to get this tilted upwards and then try and get something inside it so I can drag it through, so I can then get my tried, well, it's not tried, well, I did try it in the house with a tube. So but we should see. Tanks looks pretty clean in there, which is nice. So here we go, wish me luck. So perseverance has paid off. As you can see, I've currently got it to the point where it can come out, but because I've hooked it with a wire, I have a problem. So here comes my skills and mastery of invention. So I've got some kitchen tongs here that I'm going to use. Because they're sprung loaded, I'm going to put them in, and it's going to be pretty tight, and I'm going to be able to pull this out, because as this comes out, it's going to get lighter because there's less fuel in there, and then I can drop the wire out somehow. So we're pretty good. So I just need to stand this up now, stand this up straight. I've got my long screwdriver here, which means that I can guide it to the bottom of the tank, then push these tongs in, and hopefully it'll be out in a second, and then I can get the rest of it sorted. Happy days. Success. Didn't really need to do that in the end. There's a bit of crud in the end of there, so it's obviously come from somewhere, but happy days. So right, let's get back and get back to it, get it sorted, get this fuel gauge done and fixed. As I've already fixed it, I can get it in and tested. It's already tested outside, but I just wanted to check to make sure this wire is going to be good. If not, I can replace that from dash to here now and do a test on that too. So all good. I just want a working fuel gauge, and I can't believe that everyone just gives up on it, because life's not for giving up. And I ain't giving up on this beauty. So back in the house, everything looks in order. As you can hear, float's going up and down nicely. I have a problem now, because I need to get a nut to go on that. The nut is obviously lost in the bottom of the fuel tank. Can't see it. Probably be impossible to get out anyway. So I'm gonna have to get something sorted for it. My plan is to get a little piece of plastic and to use the end of that to put a hole in the plastic, and then heat it the other side up so it's almost through, and then see if it'll twist and wind on that onto the thread. Because it's only plastic, it should go tight, and it should just go on and keep that on there nice and tight. Other than that, I don't think I've got much chance of getting something that small. It really is a small nut. I've got loads of VW nuts in the van from another van I took apart in '72. Sorry, a 1972 van, but no chance there's anything that small. So I'm gonna have to improvise and get one made, or make one. So I'll be back once it's made. So I've just been out to the van to have a look at some stuff. Found this, it's a finisher for either a bathroom fitting or kitchen fitting or whatever it is. I'm not sure what it what it was from, but I do know it's a finisher. I think it might be for, it's got to be some sort of kitchen or bathroom thing. So my plan is, because it's got this here, going to be able to turn that in, which is nice. So I've got, so easy. So I've got to make a hole in the middle of that to go on the end of there, which won't be a problem. And I'll put a bit of Loctite on it once it's done. Whether or not Loctite works, plastic to metal, I don't know, but it's going to go on there. If not, I've got a bit of hot glue I could potentially put on, but I don't really want to do that, because if little bits fall off and get into the fuel, it's not very good. So yeah, well, here we go. That's the fix. At least I can get moving and move forward with it. So back in the house, everything looks in order. as you can hear. Float's going up and down nicely. I have a problem now because I need to get a nut to go on that. The nut is obviously lost in the bottom of the fuel tank. Can't see it. Probably be impossible to get out anyway. So I'm gonna have to get something sorted for it. My plan is to get a little piece of plastic and to use the end of that to put a hole in the plastic and then heat the other side up so it's almost through, and then see if it'll twist and wind on that onto the thread. Because it's only plastic, it should go tight, and it should just go on and keep that on there nice and tight. Other than that, I don't think I've got much chance of getting something that small. It really is a small nut. I've got loads of VW nuts in the van from another van I took apart in '72. Sorry, a 1972 van, but no chance there's anything that small. So I'm gonna have to improvise and get one made, or make one. So I'll be back once it's made. So the fix is done. I had a thought when I was putting it back together whether or not the piece of metal that goes through, all the way through, I was wondering whether or not it had any bearing on the earth from the top bit here, going all the way through and holding the plastic bits. But then I realised that the actual wire isn't touching anything. But even so, what I've done is cut up a bit of tin from something I had lying around, and made a little washer to go on there. It's onto the main shaft of the thread really tight, so it's actually earthed. So it's earthed to the actual sleeve of this as well, but I really don't think it has any bearing to it because it works without it. So we shall see. I'll test it anyway before it goes in. So yeah, there's the fix. No need to put any glue on or anything because it's absolutely solid. And yeah, even though it's plastic, it's got the job done. So all being well, we can get this in and working. So then, I guess the proof is in the pudding. So you can probably see the tank is pretty full. Let me just get the torch on this. The tank's pretty full. There's nowhere where you can see how full it actually is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip. Oh, sorry, it's pretty full. I filled it up. I went over from Coventry to Redditch a few weeks ago. So I'm going to do a dip with a stick to see how far it is. And I'm going to guesstimate sort of an inch down from the top of the tank just to see how full it actually is, and then hopefully I can look at the reading and say whether or not it's 3/4 full or whatever. I think it's about 3/4 full, but we shall see. I guess the proof will be in the pudding when I connect it all up. So I've just done the dip. Fuel is to there, and then the full is just there. So yeah, we're 3/4 easily thereabout. So let's get this thing hooked up. So then, when I originally started this project, I was told that to go straight down the middle, and you would find the actual hole for the sender to be here. The actual hole should have been maybe on this rib, so that's coming off the, let me just show because it's important for people to see. So the actual center of the hole is there, So it falls on this rib here where the pencil is. And it goes straight the way up to there. So basically it's this rib here. So you're right on the edge of that there, coming down. That will find you the centre point. We're about an inch or so off the back of here, about an inch or so off the back of there. My issue was, because it's a crossover, I thought the hole was to the right about 4 inches, which people have said it's not quite true. Perhaps because it's a crossover, I don't know, but there you go. So it's more or less bang in line with that, and I'll give you the measurements in a bit, what they are coming across. So what I've had to do is the original hole was here. I realised it was there. I pulled the actual sender out at an angle. Because it didn't have a sleeve on, it came out no problem, but because it's got the sleeve on now, I've just had to cut this bit back a bit more to get this in. So we'll be able to get it in now, but another problem solved. So managed to cut that hole out a bit bigger, all in, all hooked up. Moment of truth, I guess. Let's go have a look. Well, I'm either going to be fuming or happy, because last time it was on full, permanently full. So here we go. Yes, just as I thought. Quarter, just under, thereabouts. Happy days. I think that's the fix. Brilliant. Sweet. So I'll be putting a bit of a audio and maybe a bit of a write-up on this, just some bits that I've had problems with and not had problems with. Yeah, well, thanks for watching. Job's a good one. Might even run a cable, excuse me, from the back of here to the front, sorry, to the rear, because there was a split. There is a junction underneath the wheel arch, which would cause less resistance, I think, or is it more resistance? I'm not sure. I'm not you know, electronically minded, but my thinking is if we've got a direct route from the back to the front, then maybe the needle will be more accurate on the fuel gauge. But there you go. Happy days.